Hello everybody and welcome back to another build video. And as I stated in the last one, if you've seen that, this is going to be a factory renovation sort of build where it's going to resemble what a factory did. And it's going to be like a remodel of the home, and it's just going to be like sort of an open plan living home with just a single bedroom. No, I changed it. Before I was going to have it completely open plan on the second floor, but I decided to add another bedroom, which is technically an office in this building. So it is a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom home. And it's also a renovated factory. So that's something new and interesting I get. I love old buildings so much, like in real life. Like I used to love to draw them all the time, and I really like building them. I just like the character that they bring. It's probably why I'm not a big fan of modern, because I feel like modern never really had much character, especially like the modern homes that I've seen, growing up, because they were all just these cubes. But I think modern is taking on a new sort of style where it is a little bit more crazy, a little bit more unique in a way. But yes, this is a factory reno, which I just love the style of old factories. I think it's really cute. And yeah, there's like a little side carport, which originally I was going to put like those, what are those things? Like the little garage doors, I guess, that are in, I think, what pack is it from? I think it's from Sitting Living. And they just are for art, and you can paint murals on them. I was going to use those, but then I was just like, actually having this be a garage door is kind of weird because the back end is the dock area. This is all done in Brindleton Bay. And it's got that beach where it's like that old thing. So I actually bulldozed the original factory build that was there. It was like an old cannery or something. Yeah, I bulldozed that. And I put this one here because I thought it looked like a better version of whatever that old building was. I don't know. Like, if you've ever gone to that lot, it's got like a weird sort of inside-outside room. It's a strange building. I never liked it. I'm pretty sure like I've bulldozed it a million times whenever I've played with the lot. I've never used it actually in a home. Just because it's so weird. Like it was like there was an interior wall and an exterior wall. It's just a really weird house. I don't know what it is, but it's weird. And so now it actually looks like a factory, because before that it looked like a weird house. It didn't look like a factory. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to build my own factory, and it's going to be fancy. Not really that fancy, but kind of fancy. I do use a lot of like vintage glamour furniture, obviously in the bedrooms, because that seems to be the pack I'm going with nowadays. I wanted it to give a little bit more of a modern look with the furniture and stuff, even though it is it's a modern industrial build. Even though it's an old building, I decided to go with a more modern industrial. So like the kitchen is very industrial looking with the wood cabinets and stuff like that from, I think it's from Base Game. I don't think that's a special pack thing, but right now I'm just going to talk about the landscaping. I did want it to keep some green, but I also wanted it to look very, very old and dingy, like an old factory would. But I kept little patches of grass everywhere to give it a little bit of a nice flow. And I also didn't want it to be too tame, but other than like leaving just the grass there, it doesn't really look very natural when you just leave like the grass sort of like plain flat. So I use those little flower things, which I've never done that before by lining the base with them, but I just line the entire grass areas with them. Yeah, so there's that little exterior building, which would be like a garage port. I don't know what else to consider it for, like what it actually was back in when this was a factory, because that's just how realistically I build my buildings. I build them to be like, if this was an old factory, what would it have? Not just, it looks like it could have been a factory, but no. I also went with those island living roofs because I wanted to give this building a little bit more color. I didn't want it all to be like a brownish red, because I had the tiles and the floors being red and brown, and the brickworks being brown. So I wanted to throw a splash of more color. I could have just gone with black, but I went with that sort of washed out blue from Island Living, and I thought that looked really nice. And I really wanted to use that crevice in the wall that I left open to like store the fridge or something, and it ends up not looking too great. And I was thinking, oh, well, I could also put something in that little crevice. And I kind of hated how that sort of counter thing, like the legs on that, what would those things be called? I don't know. But the cabinet thing that's like floor to ceiling, the legs kind of disappear when you put it in a wall, and I didn't like that. So I decided to just close it off and have a flat wall instead. I mean, if you could figure out a better way to do things, then go ahead and reorganize it the way you want. And then I wanted to give it like, industrial looking, but I also wanted it to be like a refurbished home. Like it was done on a budget. They grabbed these chairs from a certain place, they grabbed the things, and I also wanted to keep that pop of red that I had going on, in it. So yeah, it's a mix of like modern and recycled furniture because it's a recycled factory. Why wouldn't they have recycled furniture in it? And I was taking a while to choose a table because I was like, maybe I should go with a red table, or maybe I should go with an industrial table, or maybe just like a wooden table. So I ended up just going with the old wooden plank table, and I kept the chairs from that one, but I decided to get rid of them on the actual countertops because that just kind of looked a little too much chairs going on, and we already have this dining area. So this like room here is just going to be the kitchen and dining, and this sort of like added on front area is going to be like a sitting room. It's not technically like a living room. There's no television in it or anything like that, but it does have like a bookcase and some chairs to sit on, and like a mudroom sort of feel with like a seating area. I kind of just didn't have enough room, or like the layout didn't feel like it didn't warrant a television in my mind. But yeah, so now I'm just chucking in some more stuff to keep the kitchen, feeling alive. And I add that little segregating wall in between the first and the second room because I do have 2 openings there, but I didn't want it to be too open. That way I could put like things up against it without making it feel like it was just sitting in the middle of a, archway. So, but the build for this was pretty fast because I had built it and destroyed it and built it and destroyed it so many times before I actually started recording the original, like the video that I have now. Like I recorded, started building it, hated it, destroyed it, deleted the video, and decided to do it all over again rather than just have all that extra footage, because now I can put it all into a nice short, 17-minute video instead of a 30-minute video or 40-minute video. So it took me a while to find something that I liked, but once I did, I just, ran with it. And then I realized I kind of didn't, because I focused so much on the exterior, I kind of didn't leave too much room for the interior. And this is also a very small lot. I think it's like 20 by 20. So that in itself is like a limitation. Like you can't make a huge factory with a big courtyard where all the things would go. And I was originally going to put a TV there. And then I'm like, you know what? I don't think there's room in this place for a television. I think it's just going to be a sitting book reading area. And I found those couches and I was just like, damn, those are cute industrial couches. So like all down here is kind of like steel pipes, wooden stuff, and upstairs in the bedroom and the office is all vintage glamour stuff, and it's kind of modern. I think vintage glamour is pretty modern pack in my opinion, but like modern doesn't even mean modern. It's just it's a style of like sleek and elegant. It's not like technically 2019 furniture. It's just this type of furniture that it is. So the downstairs very industrial and the upstairs was very modern. But if you just wanted the one bedroom, I'd recommend knocking down all the walls and having it completely open. But I couldn't get the bed and like the desk to be in a way that I like it. So instead I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to put up some walls. Just put up the walls and it'll all be fine. But there are lots of windows in here, and you get that nice Brimbleton Bay, view over on the outside. And I just chuck some lights into everywhere. I thought putting the shower in that little tiny area was really nice. So I kept that a full bathroom. Originally, it was just going to be a half bath, just a toilet and a sink. And then I was like, you know what? that little space there is really nice and it's calling for a shower. And I love those industrial lights, which I don't know if those are base game or whatnot. I'm not too familiar where everything is from. There are certain things that I know isn't base game, or that I know for sure because like I've looked through it for it, I should say, through like specific packs that I'm looking at. Especially when it comes to stuff packs, because I usually just build rooms around stuff packs that have furniture in them. And I also use these little pictures to give it more of a historical vibe. Like I said, this place is recycled. This whole building's recycled. All the furniture downstairs is recycled. It gives me this like recycled feel because everything is sort of new, but you know, used and old. And I was so glad to be able to use those lights there because I love those lights and I find them so bright, but they interfere a lot with your Sims walking ability. And it was nice to have some high ceilings. Again, this place has high ceilings because, you know, factory, why not? And I think the original factory that was down here, so yeah, this is how it was going to be, completely open. And I was like, all right, you know, vintage glamour stuff all fits, it all looks nice. And I wanted to go for a more modern look upstairs. And then like as I was going on, I was just like, this layout of how I have this room not making me happy. So yeah, I just had the bed there and like table, and then I was like, I want a desk in here, but where does the desk go? How does it look good? Having a desk sort of just like, you know, in the middle of your room like that, I guess it would be okay, but I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. And then I was like, you know what? Maybe someone wants 2 bedrooms, and this makes a decent, I think it's 5x4 and a 4x4 room. So if you wanted to have this be a family home rather than, you know, a single sim loft, you can. It would work. You can have 2 bedrooms. So yeah, this is where I divided off into 2 rooms and then decide to still go with that other mirror that I had before. I was trying to use like all the stuff from Vintage Glamour, but I don't really like the mirrors from Vintage Glamour. Unless you're building like a full-on wardrobe with them, I don't think they look good in like just up against the wall. I'm pretty sure other colors would, but not the color scheme I was going for that. And I love doing that with the floor tiles, just separating it so they all meet in like this L shape. I really like the look of those wood floors in the room, like the old sort of wood floors, but then they didn't look good in the hallway for some reason. In my mind, they just didn't look good in the hallway. So I was like, if I can't have them everywhere, I ain't gonna have them. Yeah, I really wanted that lamp to work, but it was hovering in the air in that light and over the table, and I was like, dang, now I'm sad. So I had to get rid of it, sadly. But it's such a bright and pretty room, and but they didn't fit. So instead, I just went with a bunch of standing lights and like table lights, and I was gonna hide lights, but I'm like, you know what? I don't want to hide lights. I don't want to hide them. Because I feel like that's a little cheatsy if I hide lights in places. Like, if there's light coming from somewhere, you should know where it is. And I was going to make this like an old sort of like office. And like the entire top floor of a factory is usually like the boss's office anyways. And it would be closed off because, you know, there's a lot of noise in the factory. So I was like, well, this is just the boss's office. You know, one of the boss's office. Maybe it's the secretary's office and he had the bigger office. Who knows? But like it wouldn't be open planned upstairs unless there was like another area where there was an office, but I didn't build a 3rd floor, so it would be, because that's the factory floor and you want to have the factory floor segregated from like the boss's office. And I was playing around with that a bit more to maybe have the desk in the middle of the room, but I'm like, that don't work. It don't work. It just looks so forced. Whereas up against the window, you get a beautiful view of the bay while you sit on your computer desk. And now there's like a bath and toilet upstairs. And I went with using the vampire stuff again. I guess I'm on a old school kick because I used a lot of it in the previous build that I did of the Victorian home, and now I'm just like on a binge for old stuff. Do I end up going with those tiles? I think I do, because they looked really nice. It's all vampire stuff, clearly. And then we have the black and gold wallpaper in the study and the blue in the bedroom, and it's all vintage glamour stuff because this place is kind of vintage. And I wanted to give like a private back seating area, and for some reason I feel like there's a lot of missing gate doors. I feel like we had more options before. Or am I just losing my mind? Did they change something? Am I going crazy? I felt like I wasn't seeing any of the old things, but maybe I wasn't looking that hard because this is towards the end of the build, getting lazy with decorating. You know how it is. If you build, you build this magnificent thing that's taken you a half an hour or an hour or 2 hours or 6 hours. And then you go to furnish it and you're just like, oh, another room to furnish. Why did I do this to myself? But yeah, now there's a nice little back patio area. I'm putting in some little last minute decorations in the kitchen. You know how you do. My little signature sort of thing I do with the cool kitchen stuff. I don't know why I do it. I just do it. But I really like that there's a pop of red in the kitchen. I love the color red, hence the name StefanyRed, But yeah. Oh yeah. And then I turn this sort of into a skill building workshop where it's got like the tables for the flower arranging and the stuff. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put a garage door in here just for funsies, even though it's not real. But hey, if you get like a painter sim, they can make it pretty. I like choosing the blank one in case, because it is you have to repaint it after a while. Like the murals don't stay. Because I once had a family where I just had the mother wanted to be a painter extraordinaire, and like when they had kids and stuff, I had her paint all the bedrooms with murals, and after a while they started going away and she had to retouch them, and I'm like, I didn't know that was a thing. Now I do. So yes, screenshots, front entrance, like the little book nook and like the kitchen and stuff. But if you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like and subscribe if you want to see more. If you want to get it, you can get it on the Sims 4 gallery. The link will be down below, or you can simply search my username, origin ID. It is StefanyRed, same as it is on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day.